What really drives you? Let's try and demystify McClelland's three needs. Have you ever wondered why two people can work the exact same job but care about completely different things? One person is obsessed with beating their sales targets, while the other just wants to make sure the team gets along. What's actually driving us? Back in the 60s, a psychologist named David McClelland asked this exact question. And he came up with a theory that completely changed how we understand human behavior. He proposed that our actions are driven by three primary underlying needs. And here is a fascinating part. Unlike Maslow, who believed we are born with our needs, McClelland said our core drivers are learned. They are acquired through our life experiences, our culture, and how we were raised. While we have a mix of these three needs, one would normally take the wheel and become our dominant motivator. Let's break this down. First up is the need for achievement. People with a high need for achievement are driven by the desire to excel, succeed, and outperform others. They love competitive situations, they set challenging goals, and they crave feedback. For example, think of that friend who decides to run a marathon, not just to finish, but to beat their personal best by exactly 3 minutes. Or the software developer who stays up until 3 o'clock in the morning, not because their boss told them to, but because they simply cannot go to sleep until they figure out how to fix a complex bug. It's about the mastery of the skill. When this is your primary driver, the positives are huge. You're self motivated, ambitious, innovative, and highly organized. You get things done. But there is a flip side. High achievers can become overly competitive perfectionists. They might suffer from intense anxiety about failing, or they might completely neglect their health and relationship just to cross the finish line, sometimes called the fear of failure. Now we have the need for affiliation as the next need. This is the deep desire to form close relationships, connect with others, and feel accepted within a group. If you have a high need for affiliation, you crave social interaction and prioritize harmony. For example, picture the nurse who is deeply loved by patients because they take the extra 10 minutes to hold a frightened patient's hand. Or think of the team member at work who remembers everyone's birthday, organizes the office potlucks, and naturally acts as the peacemaker when two co workers clash. They are truly the glue that holds communities together. The positives here are beautiful. These individuals are empathetic, they are compassionate, supportive, and brilliant collaborators. But there is a downside. Because they value harmony above all else, they might avoid necessary conflicts. They might compromise their own boundaries or values just to keep the peace. Sometimes, in seeking everyone's approval, they can lose their own sense of identity. Finally, we have the need for power. Now, power can sound not a comfortable word for many, but it doesn't have to be that. This is simply the desire to influence, lead, and take control of situations. People high in this need want to make a significant impact and take on responsibility. For example, think of a community activist organizing a massive rally to change local laws. They are using influence to create a systemic impact. Or consider the project manager who steps into a chaotic, failing project, completely reorganizes the strategy, and confidently tells everyone exactly what they need to do to save. When channeled well, these people are your visionaries. They are assertive, confident, decisive, and incredibly inspiring. But if this need goes unchecked, it can turn toxic. The negative behaviors include becoming aggressive, manipulative, or domineering. A toxic power seeker demands blind loyalty, refuses to tolerate disagreement, and might exploit others for their own benefit. So, how do we figure out which one is driving us? McClelland actually developed something called the thematic perception test, TAT. You look at ambiguous pictures, tell a story about what you see, and psychologists analyze your story to spot a dominant need. But even without a test, you can probably recognize these patterns in yourself and your workplace. And that's exactly where this theory is most useful today. In management, for example, if you know your employee is driven by affiliation, don't isolate them in a cubicle, put them on a collaborative team. In recruiting and hiring, you want someone with a high need for achievement in that aggressive sales role, but you definitely want someone with a high need for affiliation in customer service. Let's look at marketing. Brands tailor ads to these needs all the time. A luxury car commercial appeals to achievement and power, while a heartwarming Coca-Cola ad appeals to affiliation. Now, the theory is imperfect. Critics rightly pointed out that human motivation is incredibly more complex, and McClelland's focus can be a bit biased towards Western cultures that idealize achievement and power. Plus, measuring these needs isn't an exact science, but despite that, it remains an incredibly practical lens for understanding human behavior. A healthy life requires a balance of all three needs. The ambitious achiever needs to learn to connect. The power-driven leader needs to learn to collaborate. So take a look at your own life, your goals and your habits. Which of the three needs is sitting in your driver's seat? This is from the book Digital Culture Age of the Intellect, authored by Dr. Ganesh Sherman, and the book Competency-Based Human Resource Management, again by the author Dr. Ganesh Sherman. Thank you.